Hey, what is up, lovelies? It is Lynn the Gacha Goblin, and okay, so let's go over a very important piece of advice that was basically reminded to me by this X post. So when I first started playing gacha games, I didn't understand pity systems. I didn't understand how many pulls you would need to guarantee, and all of these like kind of seemingly very obscure topics, and kind of convoluted also, because if you play different gacha games, there are different pity systems for each game and all of this nonsense. So let's go over kind of like the main rules that you should understand when you're pulling for a card or for a memory or for whatever in your gacha games. And let's do this through a post posted by Mix here. So Mix over on X basically posted a little bit of advice, meaning that if you don't want to take this advice, that is a-okay. I mean, it is advice whether you want to take it or not. So this is something that I should have known when I started first playing gacha games, and this is definitely something that you should know if this is your first introduction into playing gacha games. Especially for Love and Deepspace, if you're going for rerun myths or if you're going for any of the different kinds of cards, it is very important to understand the number one rule. So Mix here says, when it comes to the number one rule for pretty much every gacha game, you always prepare enough crystals and more for the worst case scenario. So this is talking about understanding the pity systems in gacha games. Specifically for Love and Deepspace, we have multiple different kinds of banners, and because we have different kinds of banners, we do have different kinds of pity systems. Now that they've added rerun banners, it does become a little bit more convoluted, because not only do we have solo banners, myth banners, multi-banners, the once in a blue moon pulse hunt banner kind of situation, we have the standard banner, and now we have rerun banners. So rerun banners have their own pity system, whereas the limited banners have their own pity system as well, and the standard has its own, and also the pulse hunt banner has its own pity system. So it does get a little bit confusing, and I know it can be very overwhelming. However, I do have a video on my channel that tries to explain all of these things. I will touch upon it in this video as well. Hopefully it'll help a little bit, but I go into further detail in a different video on my channel talking about the different banners in Love and Deepspace. So if you want to go check that out, you can totally do that, and then come back here if you want to know a little bit, a few more tips and tricks here when it comes to pulling, especially if you are a free-to-play player or a low spender, or if you're even just a casual player. Because even if you are, say, a dolphin spender, but you're a very casual player, your pulling experience is going to be vastly different than somebody who doesn't spend at all in the game but plays every day. So that being said, that's a little bit of a disclaimer here. So number one rule for me, now that I've become a quote-unquote seasoned gacha player, I haven't been playing gacha games for that long, guys, but number one rule when you're going into a gacha game, understand how the pity system works, because each gacha game has a different kind of pity system, and internally they have different pity systems for different banners. So understanding pity system, number one. Number two, understanding how you're going to gain currency to pull on those banners. What kind of currency do you need? Do you need two different kinds of currency? Do you need just one? Again, with the addition of the rerun banner into Love and Deepspace, we have now an additional kind of currency that we can either buy or we can exchange diamonds with. So it is a little bit more in depth and a little bit more confusing, because there's this other currency system that is basically brand new to us. But if you understand how gacha game pulling works before the new currency was added, then it shouldn't be too difficult of a adjustment, basically. So that is number two. And number three is wisely choosing what banners to pull on. That is one of the most difficult things to do in Love and Deep Space, mainly because we don't have a roadmap, but because, you know, we do have vegetables leaks because we do have some quote-unquote reliable sources. We kind of have an idea of what is going to come out next, and I think that really does help in understanding, oh, I need to save this patch, I need to save this patch, yada yada yada. So it is very helpful to know what is coming next, and thankfully we do have some information on that now. But back when I first started playing Love and Deep Space, baby, we didn't have anything. I didn't have anything. I didn't even know when the next banner was gonna come out. It was wild. It was like playing in the wild west, I swear to God. But yeah, that is the 3 top rules that I would say playing any gacha game is understanding the pity systems in the banners, understanding how to get currency to pull on those banners and what kinds of currency there are in the game, and number 3 is kind of picking and choosing what banners to pull on. Okay, so let's continue on with this post. Either that or you get ready to swipe and spend money for more pulls. So it's either you prepare enough crystals or enough diamonds or enough currency to guarantee you your limited 5-star, or you get ready, you know, you get your credit card ready, your debit card ready, because you're gonna need to spend in order to get that limited 5-star. So either way, you're gonna get a limited 5, but it may not be the person or the way that you want to get it, you know what I'm saying? So never pull when you don't have enough. Yeah, because when you're not mentally ready to pull on a banner and you don't have enough, the more the urge to spend will fester inside of you. So it is really not recommended to pull on a banner when you don't have enough currency. If you get it early, amazing, good for you. You can save the rest of the subsequent banner, or you have enough to pull duplicates, go ahead. In terms of lads limited myths, it's only advisable to pull when you have at least enough for at least 140 pulls. You're only guaranteed companion at 140 pulls, 150 for reruns if you've never pulled before, which is the worst case scenario. Since you're given 10 free pulls to hit 150th pity crate for the solar card exchange. Okay, so to break this down a little bit better, I kind of went off onto social media of Love and Deep Space. I tried to find like a breakdown, a visual breakdown of how many pulls you would need to get the selectable crate. So in the case right now, you have a myth banner that is running, right? So we're only talking about limited myths in this little scenario here, because with limited myths you need to have both cards in order to basically activate the myth companion for you to use it in battle. You can't just have one of them, especially if you want to 1, unlock the story, and 2, use them in battle. You need both of the cards to do that. So in order to get to the second version of your card, you have a selectable crate after 140 pulls, and they say 140, but it's actually 150 regardless, because if you look over here, I went out and I kind of hunted down somebody who had posted the breakdown. So this was during Silas's myth banner run, and you can see here that it's 50 pulls, you get 5 free pulls here, and then 100 pulls, you get another 5, so that's 10 already. So 150 minus the 10 that they give you, that's 140. So 140, and then you finally get the selectable crate in order to get like maybe the second half of the myth pair. Because worst case scenario, right, you pull your first 70 pulls and you lose your 50-50. So then that means you have to pull another 70 pulls in order to gain the first half of the myth card. And then the second half of the myth card can be obtained through the selectable crate. So that way your max, if you're really unlucky, is 150 pulls. That's coming from you minus the 10 that is coming from the company, so 140 pulls in total. So that is why Mix here says that you would need at least 140 pulls in order for you to guarantee you getting the companion. Now let us understand exactly how much that is. So if that is 140 right, times 150 diamonds, so that is 21,000. You need 21,000 diamonds in order to guarantee that you have enough to pull and guarantee yourself one set of the myth companion. Now of course you can get lucky or from a previous banner you could have lost your 50-50, so that way you're guaranteed your first 50-50 on this banner. So you know, the most you can probably get, maybe say you get lucky twice, you could probably R1 one of the cards and the other one is just regular, you know what I'm saying? So it is possible to get super lucky, but if you are really unlucky, you would just need 150 pulls, especially for rerun banners. Rerun banners, we see that we don't get any free pulls at all, which is very unfortunate, and you can see that with God of Tides and also for Lumiere right now. So you would really need to pull 150 times on a rerun myth banner. So that is the worst case scenario, but you know. Now in the best case scenario, right, you would only need to get 130 pulls, because if, for example, the company gives us an event that you can get 10 pulls, so that is nice, and then they give you another 10 pulls because, I don't know, maybe the CN Lovelies had hit a record or something, or it's just part of in-game pulling system, like how I showed you here, where it's part of this. So it is possible to only have 130 pulls as your maximum, but it really depends on like what the event is running at the same time, or how everything is structured at that time. So the best thing to do is really to prepare 150 pulls regardless, and that kind of goes for every banner too. Like even for solo banners, if you lose your first 50-50, you're going to need to pull another 140. Oh, sorry, another 70, so that is 140 in total. So, regardless of the kind of banner that you want, between a solo and a myth pair, you will need a few pulls. I say a few when I'm looking at the number 150. But when it comes to multi banners, that gets a lot more complicated because it depends on what how many cards you want to get, and also what card you want to get. So that is a little bit more in-depth and more complicated to explain, which that can be actually explained in the other video that I was referring to, the other one where I was explaining the different banners. So definitely go check that out if you want to understand multi-banners, especially since a multi-banner is going to come out after Lumiere's rerun. We're going to have the one that was basically leaked to the public. So prepare your polls, everybody save up. Yeah, if you don't have enough and can't spend, don't be disappointed when you can't get the limited myth, because on average people get R0 companion around 130 to 140 pulls. This is true. This even happens to me sometimes. Like, I very much in the beginning of my play history, my luck wasn't really that great, so I really did have to like go up to 140, which was very painful in the wallet section. You're better off saving crystals for the next banner. So it really depends on what you want to pull on, and also what you're saving for, who your favorite character is, and all of this shenanigans. So that is how you basically prepare yourself for pulling on these banners in gacha games. Hopefully this makes sense. This is definitely 100% more geared towards Love and Deepspace, but the three main rules definitely do apply to any other gacha game that you play. If you play, or you're planning to play, any gacha game in the future, this is the most important thing that you need to understand. How does a pull system work? how do I get the currency to pull on the banners, and what banners am I planning to pull for. So that is my go-to. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you do, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what your advice is actually also on pulling on banners if you're an experienced gacha game player. If you have questions and you're new to the space, definitely leave questions down below. That would be really, really nice for people to interact positively in the space. And that is pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to subscribe to the channel, thank you so much. And yeah, I am Lynn the Gacha Goblin, and I'll see you lovelies in the next video. Bye bye now.